My name is Samuel. I'm 82 years old, and for almost 6 decades of my life, I sat in a wooden pew every Sunday, believing a lie about heaven that almost cost me everything. Nobody told me the truth about the 24 elders. Nobody. Not the pastors, not the seminary books, not the men in suits standing behind those polished pulpits. They kept it from me on purpose. And when I finally found out who those 24 figures sitting around the throne of God really are, I dropped to my knees in my kitchen and I wept like a child, because I realized that everything I had been taught about my place in eternity, about what waits for me on the other side, about the role of ordinary believers like you and me in the final chapters of this world, was deliberately hidden. Let me tell you what I discovered, and listen carefully, because what I am about to share with you is something the institutional church does not want spoken out loud. You see, I grew up in a house where the Bible sat on the coffee table, but nobody ever opened the book of Revelation. My father used to say it was too dangerous, too confusing, that only trained ministers should touch it. And I believed him. For 40 years I believed him. I went to church, I tithed, I sang the hymns, I shook the pastor's hand at the door. But when I would ask about Revelation, about the throne room, about those 24 elders dressed in white with crowns of gold, I always got the same answer. Samuel, don't worry about that, just focus on being a good man. And I accepted it. Honestly, I accepted it because it was easier. Then, in the spring of 1998, my wife Margaret got sick, cancer. The doctors gave her 8 months. And in those 8 months, something in me broke open. I started reading Revelation for myself, every night, by her bedside, out loud sometimes when she was sleeping, and I came across that scene. The Apostle John, exiled on the island of Patmos, a small rocky place in the Aegean Sea where the Roman authorities sent him to silence him. They thought if they isolated him, his voice would die. But instead, on that desolate rock, God pulled back the curtain of heaven and showed him things no man had ever seen. And there they were, 24 elders, seated on 24 thrones surrounding the main throne of God himself, wearing white robes, crowned with gold. And I remember sitting in that hospital chair, my Margaret breathing softly beside me, and I asked out loud, "Who are these men?" Because something inside me knew. Something inside me knew this was the secret. This was the thing they had been hiding from people like me my whole life. Let me explain what I found, because this is where it gets serious. The pastors I had trusted for decades told me, on the rare occasions they mentioned it, that those 24 elders were angels, just another category of celestial being. Nothing to do with us, nothing for us to worry about. But that is a lie, and I can prove it to you using the same Bible that sat on my coffee table all those years. You see, the Greek word that gets translated as elder in that passage is never ever used in Scripture to describe an angel, not once. It is a word used exclusively for human beings, and not just any human beings, but men of mature age, men who have lived long enough to govern, to lead, to carry wisdom. Angels do not age. Angels do not grow old. So the very word itself tells you these are not angels. These are people, redeemed people, people like me, people like you. And here's what I didn't understand then, but I understand now. Those crowns on their heads are not royal crowns. They are victors' crowns. The Greek word points to the wreath given to an athlete in the ancient games, the kind of crown awarded to someone who fought hard and won. Angels are never given crowns. There is not a single verse in the entire Bible where an angel receives a crown. But believers, oh, we are promised crowns over and over again. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. There is laid up for me the crown of righteousness. Those promises were made to us, to ordinary, struggling, sinful, faithful human beings. And the white robes? The pastors will tell you angels wear white, and sometimes they do. But the white robe in Revelation is something else entirely. It represents the righteousness of Christ being credited to those who are saved. He that overcomes shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot his name out of the book of life. That promise is not for angels. Angels do not need to overcome anything. That promise is for us, for me, for you sitting there listening to me right now. I sat in that hospital room and I started shaking, because I realized that those 24 elders represent the redeemed church of God, the faithful, the ones who endured. They are not a separate category of being. They are us, glorified. They are what we become. They are the proof, sitting around the very throne of the Almighty, that human beings, broken and frail and tired, are destined to reign with Christ. And when I read that they sang, "You have made us kings and priests to our God, and we shall reign on the earth," I knew. They were singing about themselves. They were singing about the inheritance that the institutional church had buried under decades of vague sermons and watered-down theology. We were not made to be passive spectators in heaven. We were made to rule. Now listen to me carefully, because I have to interrupt myself here. I don't have the time to explain every single layer of this deception in one video. My time on this earth is short. I am 82 years old, and every morning I wake up and thank God for one more day. But I know the day will come when I cannot speak anymore. That is exactly why I gathered all of these 2,000 years of silenced truths and survival protocols and end times warnings into my definitive guide, The Forbidden Archives, the definitive guide to the end times mysteries hidden by the church. Everything they kept from me, everything they are still keeping from you, the full roadmap for what is coming and how to stand firm when the great deception arrives, it is all in there. You need to arm yourself with this knowledge before it is too late. The link is in the first pinned comment right below this video. Go secure your copy now, but listen to the rest of what I am telling you, because what I discovered next is even more shocking than what I have already said. You see, after Margaret died, I kept studying. I had nothing else. The house was empty, the silence was loud. So I read, and I prayed, and I asked God to show me what else they had hidden, and He did. I learned that those 24 elders are doing something that the church almost never preaches about. They are casting their crowns at the feet of God, over and over. Every time He is glorified, they take the crowns off their heads and they throw them down before the throne. And then He gives them back, and they cast them down again. Do you understand what that means? Do you understand what God was showing John on that island? It means the rewards we earn in this life, the victories we win, the suffering we endure, the faithfulness we hold on to when everything is falling apart. All of it is meant to be returned to Him. Not because He needs it, but because we recognize that none of it would have existed without Him. And here is the part that broke me. He gives them back. He always gives them back. Because He wants us to share in His glory. He wants us to reign. He wants us to be there, around that throne, casting and receiving for all of eternity. And you know what surprised me most? The pastors never told me that the elders are also holding golden bowls full of incense, and that the incense is the prayers of the saints, the prayers of the saints. Every prayer you have ever whispered in the dark, every prayer you cried out when nobody else was listening, every desperate, broken, halfway formed prayer that you thought went nowhere. Those prayers are being held, right now, in golden bowls, before the throne of God Himself. They were not lost. They were never lost. I cried for 3 days when I understood that, because I had prayed so many prayers for Margaret, and I thought God had ignored them. But He had not ignored them. He had collected them, every single one. And one day, when the 7th seal is opened, those prayers are going to be poured out on the earth, and they will shake the foundations of the world. This is what they hid from me. This is what they hide from you. Because if you really knew that your prayers matter that much, that your faithfulness earns you a place around the throne, that you are destined to reign with Christ over the nations, you would not sit quietly in a pew anymore. You would not accept the watered-down version. You would rise up. You would seek the deeper truths. You would become dangerous to the system that profits from keeping you small. And I will tell you something else. The 4 living creatures that surround the throne with the elders, the cherubim, they are constantly moving, constantly declaring the holiness of God day and night without stopping, and the elders join them. Every time the creatures worship, the elders worship. There is no division up there, no denominations, no factions, no arguments about which church is right. There is only unified, perfect, overwhelming worship of the one who sits on the throne and the Lamb who was slain. That is our destiny. That is what we were made for. Not the petty divisions of this fallen world. Not the empty rituals of religious systems that have lost their fire. We were made to be elders around the throne. We were made to cast our crowns. We were made to hold the prayers. We were made to reign. But I have to warn you, none of this is automatic. None of this is guaranteed just because you go to church on Sunday. The promise of the crown is given to those who overcome, to those who are faithful unto death, to those who endure. And we are entering a time, my friends, where endurance is going to be tested like never before in human history. The deception that is coming will be so subtle, so convincing, so widespread, that even the elect will be tempted to fall away. And if you do not know the truth, if you do not have the full picture, if you are still relying on the comfortable lies they fed me for 40 years, you will not stand. So hear me now. Hear me with everything you have left in you. Watching videos like this is not enough. Nodding along to my words is not enough. You have to act. You have to prepare. You have to arm yourself with the complete knowledge of what is coming and what God has hidden in the pages of His Word for those willing to dig. If you do not want your children, your grandchildren, your spouse, your closest friends to fall for the final deception when it comes, and it is coming sooner than you think, you must get the Forbidden Archives, the definitive guide to the end times mysteries hidden by the church right now. Tonight, before you close this video. I do not know how much longer they will let me speak about these things. I have already received warnings. I have already lost friends in ministry who told me to stop. I do not know how much time we have left before the voices like mine are silenced for good. The link is in the first pinned comment right below this video. Click it, get your copy, read it, share it with the people you love. Do not wait until tomorrow, because tomorrow might be too late. And I would rather you be angry with me for being too urgent than weeping later because I was not urgent enough. And before you go, give this video a like so others searching for the truth can find it. Leave a comment telling me you heard me. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the next warning. But above all, get the book. Your eternity may depend on it. God bless you, and may you stand among those 24 when the day comes.